cabin is supposed to feel like an escape, a quiet place in the woods, a key in a lockbox, a fire pit out back, and the kind of darkness that is comforting because it belongs to nature. That is what I thought I was driving toward that night. Just one night away from noise, away from screens, away from the busy world that never stops talking. I had the address saved and I had the message from the owner. Do not rely on GPS after the last main road, they wrote. Follow the directions carefully. That should have been the first sign, but it is so common now that people almost treat it like normal. Backroads confuse navigation apps, signal drops, roads twist. I told myself that is all it was. Rain had been falling since late afternoon. Not a storm, not thunder, just a steady cold rain that turned everything glossy. The pavement looked like black glass under my headlights. The trees were bare and wet, like they had been painted with oil. And the further I drove from town, the fewer signs I saw. No street lights, no mailboxes, no porch lights. Just the occasional reflective marker flashing back at me and disappearing again. At the last gas station, I stopped to fill up even though I still had half a tank. The place was bright, fluorescent, and loud with normal life. A couple arguing quietly by the coffee machine, a teenager stocking shelves, a cashier who looked bored and tired. I remember thinking, this is the last normal building I will see tonight. That thought felt dramatic at the time. It did not feel dramatic later. When I got back on the road, the station lights shrank behind me until they were just aglow. And then they were gone. My phone signal dropped a few minutes later, as if someone flipped a switch. No bars, no connection. My GPS still showed the route, but the map stopped refreshing. The little blue arrow kept moving across a frozen screen. The owner's directions were written in a simple list. Take County Road 12 until the second wooden bridge. Turn left at the fallen oak. Continue past the old cattle gate. At the fork, stay right. Look for a red reflector on a pine tree. The driveway is unmarked. At first, it seemed fine. County Road 12 was real. It was narrow, but it was paved. The rain made it shine. My wipers moved in a steady rhythm. I passed the first wooden bridge, then kept going. The second bridge appeared exactly where it should. I turned left. That is when the road changed. It was still paved, but it felt older. The surface was rougher, the shoulder narrower. The trees moved closer, like the forest was leaning in. The rain sounded different too. On the main road, it was soft. Here, under the canopy, it became heavier, sharper, like it was hitting leaves before it hit my windshield. A few minutes later, I saw the fallen oak. It was not across the road, just collapsed into the ditch, its roots exposed like ribs. I turned my wheel slightly to avoid a branch. Then I continued. I should have seen the cattle gate next. That is what the directions said. But instead, I saw something else. A sign. It was not reflective. It was not new. It looked like a piece of wood nailed to two posts. My headlights hit it, and for a second I thought it was blank. Then I got closer and saw the words. Not printed, carved, no through road. I slowed automatically, and my stomach tightened. The direction list did not mention a sign like this. It did not mention a dead end, but the blue arrow on my frozen GPS kept going forward like everything was normal. I drove past the sign, and that is when the forest went quiet. I do not mean peaceful, I mean wrong. The rain still fell, but the usual background of the night seemed to vanish. No insects, no distant animals, no wind in the branches. Even the sound of my tires on wet pavement felt muted, like the road was absorbing it. I told myself I was imagining it. When you are alone at night and you expect the woods to feel creepy, your brain can manufacture the feeling. That is what I told myself. Then my radio changed. It did not cut out. It did not turn to static. It simply lowered itself, like an invisible hand was turning the volume down. The music became thin and far away. I reached for the knob, turned it up, and the sound did not return the way it should. It stayed distant, like it was coming from another room. I turned it off. That made it worse. Because without the radio, I realized the cabin of my car was too quiet. I could hear my own breathing. I could hear the tiny clicks of the wiper switch. I could hear the faintest creak of the seat when I shifted. But outside, there was nothing. It was like the world beyond the glass had been edited out. Then the road forked, two narrow lanes splitting like a question. The directions said, at the fork, stay right. So I stayed right. The left lane vanished into thicker darkness. The right lane continued, curving gently, as if it had somewhere to go. I followed it. The next direction was the red reflector on a pine tree. I drove slow, scanning with my headlights, looking for something unnatural in the woods. And then I saw it. A small red dot shining back at me from the tree line. I felt relief. It was real. It matched the instructions. I was still on track. I passed the reflector, and immediately, I saw another one ahead. Same height, same distance into the woods, same small red eye. I frowned. Maybe there were two. Maybe the owner wanted to make the driveway easy to spot. I passed the second reflector. Then I saw a third. And something in me went cold. Because the reflectors were not marking a driveway. They were marking the road itself, like breadcrumbs, like I was being guided. I slowed, looked for an unmarked driveway and saw nothing. Just trees, just wet brush, just darkness. Then my headlights picked up a shape ahead. A cabin. A real cabin. Small, dark wood, a pitched roof, a tiny porch. One window glowing warm yellow from inside like someone had left a lamp on. It sat slightly back from the road with a short gravel path leading to it. Relief hit me so hard I almost laughed. Of course, that was it. The cabin, the lamp, the warmth, the end of the drive. I pulled onto the gravel path, and my tires crunched loudly. The first truly normal sound I had heard in minutes. The car rocked slightly as I stopped. For the first time since passing the no-through road sign, I felt like the world had returned. I stepped out into the rain. The air was cold and smelled like wet pine. I could hear the rain again, clearly now tapping leaves and soil. I could hear distant dripping. I could hear my own footsteps on gravel. My body loosened, like it had been holding tension without telling me. I walked to the porch. The lamp inside the window was real. The curtain was half drawn. The glow felt welcoming. The door had a keypad lock, just like the listing said. I typed in the code. The lock clicked, and the door opened. Warm air drifted out, carrying the faint smell of wood and something sweet, like old candles. The inside looked exactly like the pictures. A small couch, a wooden table, a kitchenette, a simple rug by the door. I stepped in and shut the door behind me. And as soon as the latch caught, the rain stopped. Not outside. Outside, I could still see it falling through the window. But I could not hear it anymore. It was like someone had closed a soundproof box around the cabin. I froze, hand still on the doorknob, listening. Nothing. No rain, no wind, no forest, no distant wildlife. Not even the faint hum of electricity you usually hear in a building. It was not quiet like peace. It was quiet like absence. Then I saw something that did not match the listing. On the wall by the kitchen, there was a framed map. A simple printed map of the area. The kind people hang for decoration, but the map had been marked with pen. A circle. A thick circle around a patch of forest, and inside that circle, written in small, careful letters, were 3 words. Do not turn left. I stared at it for a long time. Because I had turned left earlier, at the second bridge. That was the instructions. So what did the note mean? Do not turn left where? At the fork, at some other point? Or was it a warning not meant for me? A leftover from someone else? The cabin felt warmer than it should. Not cozy warm. Hot, like the heater was too high. I checked the thermostat. It was set to a normal temperature. I walked around trying to shake off the feeling. I unpacked my bag. I set my phone on the table, even though there was no signal. I filled a glass of water from the sink. The water was cold. That felt normal. I took a sip. And the moment I swallowed, I realized how thirsty I had been, like my body had been drying out without me noticing. I looked back at the window. Rain still fell outside, visible in the porch light. But the sound was still missing. I went to the door, unlocked it, and opened it an inch. The rain sound rushed in immediately, loud and real, like someone turned the volume up. I closed the door. Silence. I opened it again. Sound? I closed it. Silence. I stood there doing that like an idiot, testing it. Because the only way to understand something impossible is to repeat it until you're sure you're not imagining it. The cabin was a mute button. I stepped onto the porch again, just to breathe. The forest looked darker from here. The road was a thin black strip with my car parked on it. My headlights were off now. Only the porch light painted a small circle of visibility. And in that circle, I noticed something I had not noticed when I arrived. There were no tire tracks. The gravel path was wet, but it was smooth. Undisturbed, like no car had driven up it. Like my car had simply appeared here. My heart started to beat harder. I walked down the path, crouched, and looked closely. No fresh grooves, no displaced stones, no evidence of my tires. I turned and looked at my car. It sat there, rain sliding down its windows, real as anything. But the ground beneath it looked untouched. I stood up slowly and looked toward the road. And that was when I realized something else. There was no road behind me. The direction I had come from was gone. There was only forest. The pavement did not continue into darkness. It did not curve away. It simply ended at the cabin, like a hallway that stops at a wall. I walked closer to where the road should have been, my shoes scraping wet gravel, and I saw it clearly. Beyond the edge of the porch light, there was nothing but trees and brush and darkness. No reflective markers, no faint line of asphalt, no road. I backed up without meaning to. My thoughts turned fast and sharp. This is not possible. Roads do not disappear. You do not drive to a cabin on a road that does not exist. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut into the rain, shook slightly with my hand. I walked to the spot again and shined the light forward. Just forest. I shined it down. The asphalt ended like it had been cut clean. Like someone poured the road only up to this point and stopped. I turned around and went back into the cabin, shutting the door behind me. Silence returned instantly. And in that silence, I heard something I had not heard before. A faint clicking sound, soft, rhythmic, like someone tapping a fingernail on wood. It was coming from the other side of the cabin, from the back. I stood still, holding my breath. Click, click, click. I walked slowly toward the back room. The cabin had a small bedroom and a bathroom. The door to the bedroom was open. The bed was neatly made. A folded blanket lay at the foot like a hotel. The clicking continued. It was not inside the room. It was beyond it. The back wall. I moved closer step by step, until my face was near the window at the back of the cabin. The curtain was drawn. I reached out and lifted it slightly. Outside was darkness and rain, but close to the window, pressed against the glass, was a red reflector. The same kind of red dot I had seen on the pine trees. Only this one was not on a tree. It was on something tall, upright, and very close. I lowered the curtain quickly. My breath came fast, because reflectors do not hang in midair. They attached to something, and whatever it was attached to was standing right outside the bedroom window. I backed away. The clicking stopped, and for one long second, the cabin was so silent, I felt like my ears were ringing. Then the clicking started again, but now it was at the front door. Click, 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 not knocking, not pounding. Gentle tapping, as if someone had all night. I stood frozen between the bedroom and the living room, not wanting to move closer, not wanting to admit what was happening. The tapping continued. Then the keypad beeped. One beep, then another, like someone was pressing numbers. I felt cold spread through my body. I could not see the keypad from where I stood, but I could hear it. Beep, beep, beep. Someone was trying to enter the code. The taps became a little faster. Then the keypad beeped again, longer, like an error. A pause. Then more beeps, like the person outside was trying again. I swallowed hard, forced myself to move. I stepped toward the front door. Quiet, careful, as if sound mattered, even though the cabin was already swallowing it. I leaned close, eye at the peephole. At first I saw nothing but darkness and rain. Then I saw the reflector, a small red dot at the height of a face. It did not move. It did not blink. It just sat there, close, like an eye made of plastic. I stepped back. The keypad beeped again. And then, very softly, I heard a voice. Not through the door, not muffled. Inside the cabin. A voice right behind me. Low, calm, close. Do not turn left. My blood turned to ice. I spun around. The living room was empty. The lamp glowed on the table. The couch sat still. The kitchenette looked normal. There was no one. And yet the voice had been right there. I backed toward the door, hand reaching for the handle, ready to fling it open and run into the rain, even if the road was gone. Then my phone screen lit up. Not from signal, from an incoming call. Unknown number. I stared at it, confused and desperate. Like maybe this was the owner. Maybe this was help somehow breaking through. The cabin was still silent around me, but the phone vibrated in my palm like a heartbeat. I answered without thinking. And instead of a person, instead of a voice, I heard the sound of rain. Loud rain. And underneath it faintly, the sound of tires on wet pavement. Like the call was coming from someone driving. Then a calm voice spoke on the line. Not mine, not the owner's. The same tone as before. Do not stop. I froze, because I was not driving. I was standing in a cabin, with no road, and yet the phone was playing the sound of a moving car. The voice continued. You're on the wrong road. My throat tightened. Who is this? I whispered. But my whisper sounded trapped, like it could not travel. The voice did not answer my question. It said, slowly, clearly, open the door. Do not step outside. Open the door, listen. My hand trembled as I reached for the handle. I did not want to do what it said, but the cabin felt like a trap, like the silence itself was pressing on my chest. I unlocked the door. I opened it a crack. The rain sound rushed in immediately. Wind, dripping, forest noise, the real night, loud and alive. And in that rush of sound I heard something else too. Footsteps, not mine. Footsteps in the gravel, moving slowly, like someone walking carefully. listening for something. The voice on the phone stayed calm. "Do not step outside," it said again. "Do not let it know you can hear." My eyes burned with fear. I kept the door cracked, staring into the rain and darkness. And then I saw it. Not a person, not an animal, a shape, tall and still, just beyond the porch light, where the rain fell, but the darkness did not break. It was not fully visible, like it was standing in a pocket of shadow that did not belong. But I saw the reflector, the red dot, at the height of where a face should be. It moved slightly, not like a head turning, like something aligning itself with me. The footsteps on the gravel stopped. The cabin behind me remained silent, swallowing every noise from inside. The voice on the phone became urgent, but still controlled. "Close the door," it said, "now." I closed it. Silence snapped back. My lungs felt like they were not getting enough air. I stayed pressed to the door, listening even though listening felt useless. Then the tapping started again. Not on the door. On the window, 3 gentle taps, tap, 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 like someone saying, "I am still here." I squeezed my eyes shut. In my head, my thoughts screamed, "Leave, leave, leave." But how do you leave a cabin with no road? The phone in my hand vibrated again. The call was still connected. I put it to my ear. The sound of tires was gone now. The rain sound was gone. There was only breathing. Slow breathing, like someone holding the phone close to their mouth. Then the voice said, very softly, "You turned left at the second bridge." My mouth went dry. "You should not have," it said. Then the call ended. The phone screen went black. And at the exact same moment, the cabin lamp flickered once, like a blink. I stood there for what felt like a long time, shaking. Then with no warning, the silence broke. The cabin filled with normal sound. The faint hum of electricity. The soft whisper of the heater. The tiny creaks in the wood. I realized I could hear the rain again too, faintly through the walls. It was like the cabin had released me, like the mute button had been lifted. I moved quickly now, grabbed my keys, grabbed my bag, heart pounding, and went to the door. I unlocked it. I opened it wide. Rain sound spilled in, real and heavy. And outside, in the beam of the porch light, the gravel path was different. There were tire tracks now, fresh grooves in the wet gravel leading away. And beyond them, the road existed again, a strip of asphalt stretching into the dark, curving away between trees. I did not hesitate. I ran to my car, got in, slammed the door, started the engine. The engine sound was the most beautiful noise I had ever heard. I turned the car around in the tight space, tires slipping slightly in wet gravel, and pointed my headlights down the road. As I drove away, I glanced in the mirror. The cabin was still there, porch light glowing warm. But behind it, in the tree line, I saw several small red dots, spaced like markers, reflectors, or eyes. I did not stop driving until I reached the main road again. When I finally got back to town, my phone regained signal instantly, as if nothing had happened. I checked my maps. The cabin listing address still existed. But when I searched the area, the location pin dropped into a patch of forest with no structures, no road leading to it, nothing on satellite view, like the cabin had never been there. The next morning, I tried to call the owner. The listing was gone, deleted, no messages, no confirmation, no record, like the whole thing had been erased. And here is why I do not drive unfamiliar backroads in rain anymore. A week later, I was telling a friend about it, trying to laugh it off, trying to make it sound like stress or fatigue. He listened quietly, then asked a simple question. "Which second bridge?" he said. I pulled up the route and showed him the place where I turned. His face changed when he saw it. He zoomed out, then pointed at the screen. "That bridge," he said, "collapsed years ago." I stared. "People still take that turn sometimes," he said. "They think it is a shortcut, but there is no road past it, not anymore." I felt my skin go cold again. "Then how did I drive there?" I whispered. My friend did not answer immediately. He just said, "Some roads do not disappear. Some roads wait." And I realized something that still makes my stomach drop. The voice on my phone did not tell me to turn around. It did not tell me to call for help. It told me one thing: do not stop. Because whatever was out there, whatever had reflectors for eyes, whatever walked in circles on the gravel, was not trying to scare me. It was trying to keep me there. And maybe the only reason I made it out is because I never gave it the one thing it wanted: a full stop. If you ever take a back road at night, in rain, and your GPS stops refreshing, and the forest gets too quiet, and you see a sign that says "No through road, do not test your luck," do not tell yourself it is normal. Do not keep driving just because your map says it is fine. Turn around while you still can. Because some cabins are not rentals, some are traps. And some roads do not lead somewhere. Some roads lead to something. This is the faint whisper. If you want more backroad and wilderness mysteries like this, subscribe. And if you ever find yourself on a road that feels too empty, and the night around you suddenly goes quiet, do not stop. Keep driving.